Chapter 65, The Open Door. The hallway of the Blixen Arms emitted the same green gloomy light no matter the time of day or night. "Watch out for the cat," said Flora. "The infamous Mr. Claus," said William Spicer. He looked around. He was smiling. The cat who was defeated by a superhero squirrel. "I will certainly keep an eye out for him. And I hate to sound like a broken record, but may I say again what a delight it is to see. Talk about being born anew. Nothing will ever escape my notice." "Goody," said Tooty. "I am not kidding," said Flora. "Mr. Claus could be anywhere." "Yes," said William Spicer. "My eyes are open. They are indeed." "Knock again," said Tooty. Flora knocked again. Where could her father be in the middle of the night? Had someone kidnapped him too? Was it kidnapping if it was an adult, or was it adult napping? George Buckman napping. And then she heard her father laugh, but the laugh wasn't coming from his apartment. It was coming from apartment 267. "Dr. Measham," said Flora. "Who?" said William Spicer. "Dr. Measham. Knock on that door, quick," said Flora to William Spicer. She pointed, and William Spicer raised his hand to knock just as the door to Dr. Measham's apartment swung wide. "Flora Belle," said Dr. Measham, "my little flower, our beloved." She was smiling very big. Her teeth were glowing. Ulysses was sitting on her shoulder. Behind Ulysses and Dr. Measham was Flora's father. He was wearing his pajamas. His hat was on his head. "George Buckman," said her father, slowly raising his hat to them all. "How do you do?" "Ulysses," said Flora. She said his name like a question, and he answered her. He flew to her. His small, warm, hopeful body hit her with a thud that almost knocked her off her feet. She wrapped her arms, her hands herself around him. "Ulysses," she said, "I love you." "So much happiness," said Dr. Measham. "This is how it was when I was a girl in Blurmesian, like this, always opening the door in the middle of the night and finding the face of someone you wanted to see. Well, not always. Sometimes it was the face of someone you did not want to see. But always in Blurmesian, you opened the door because you could not stop hoping that on the other side of it would be a face of someone you loved." Dr. Measham looked at William Spicer and then at Tooty. She smiled, and maybe, too, the face of someone you did not yet know, but might come to love. "Tooty Tickman," said Tooty, "it's a pleasure to meet you. And this is my nephew, William. I would shake your hand, but as you can see, I am in charge of this lamp." "Actually," said William Spicer, "I'm your great-nephew, and my name is William Spicer. And I realize that this is early in our acquaintance, but for me to be revealing so much astonishing and deeply personal information, I must tell you that I was temporarily blind and now I can see. Also, I feel compelled to say that your face is beautiful to me. In fact, every face is beautiful to me." He turned. "Your face, Flora Belle, is particularly beautiful. Even the spectral gloom of this hallway cannot dim your loveliness." "Spectral gloom?" said Flora. "Yes, because she is a flower," said Flora's father, "my lovely flower." Flora felt herself blushing. "It is a lovely face, the face of Flora Belle Buckman," said Dr. Measham. "It is truly beautiful, but you have all stood so long enough outside. You must come in now. Come." Chapter 66. "Will you please shut up, William Spicer?" "So," said Dr. Measham, "we have been speaking with Ulysses. We have been working to understand his story. From what we have put together so far, it involves a shovel and a sack in the woods and a poem." "And the giant donut," said Flora's father. Ulysses, sitting on Flora's shoulder, nodded vigorously. A distinctly fishy smell emanated from his whiskers. Flora turned to him. "Where's my mother?" she said. Ulysses shook his head. "Pop," said Flora, "where's Mom?" "I'm not certain," said her father. He adjusted his hat. He tried to put his hands in his pockets, and then he realized he was wearing pajamas and had no pockets. He laughed. "Holy Bagumba," he said softly. "We need a typewriter," said Flora. Ulysses nodded. "We need a typewriter so that we can get to the truth," said Flora. "The truth," said William Spicer, "is a slippery thing. I doubt that you will ever get to the truth. You may get to a version of the truth, but the truth, I doubt it very seriously." "Will you please shut up, William Spicer?" said Flora. "Shh," said Dr. Measham. I forgot where I was. "Will you please shut up, William Spicer?" said Flora. "Shh," said Dr. Measham. Calm, calm. You should maybe sit and eat a sardine. I don't want a sardine, said Flora. I want to know what happened. I want to know where my mother is. Just as she said those words, there was a bang, which was followed by a long, bone-chilling yowl, which was in turn followed by a very loud scream. What was that? Said William Spicer. That's Mr. Claus, said Flora. He's attacking someone. There was another scream, and then it came words. George, George. Uh-oh, said Flora's father. It's Phyllis. Mom, said Flora. Ulysses tensed. He dug his claws into Flora's shoulder. Flora looked at him. He nodded. And then Flora's father was running up the door, and Flora was behind him, and William Spicer was behind her. Another of her mother's screams echoed down the hallway. George, George, she shouted. Please tell me that my baby is here. Flora turned, and she said to Tootie, bring the lamp. She's worried about Marianne. There was another scream. It was time again for the squirrel to vanish the villain. It was time for Ulysses to rescue his arch nemesis. I'm on it. I'm bringing the lamp. Who will prevail? Who will vanquish? Please, George, tell me that Flora is here. Me, thought Flora. She's here, said Flora's father. Flora's mother started to cry. Everyone needs to calm down, said Tootie. I've got it. She waded into the fray and whacked Mr. Claus over the head with Marianne. The cat fell to the ground, and the little shepherdess, as if she were astonished by her own act of violence, crumbled. Her face, her beautiful, perfect pink face, broke. There was a tinkle and a crash, and the pieces of Marianne's head hit the floor. Oops, said Tootie. I broke her. Uh-oh, said Flora. But her mother wasn't looking at the lamp or what was left of the lamp. She was looking at Flora. Flora, her mother said. Flora, I went home and you weren't there. I was terrified. Here she is, said William Spicer. He gave Flora a gentle shove towards their mother. Here I am, said Flora. Her mother stepped over the pieces of the broken little shepherdess. She took Flora in her arm. My baby, she said. Me, said Flora. You, said her mother. Chapter 67, The Horsehair Sofa. Flora's mother was sitting on the horsehair sofa. Flora's father was sitting next to her. He was holding her hand, or was she holding his? In any case, her mother and father were holding on to each other. Dr. Measham was putting alcohol on Flora's mother's bites and scratches. Ooh, ouch, ooh, ooh, said Flora's mother. Come, said Dr. Measham to Flora. She patted the horsehair sofa. Sit down, here, beside your mother. Flora sat down on the couch and immediately started to slide off. Was there a trick to sitting on this horsehair sofa? Because she certainly hadn't mastered it. Then William Spicer sat down beside her so that she was wedged between him and her mother. Flora stopped sliding, and I went up to your room, said Flora's mother. I climbed the stairs to your room, and you weren't there. I was out looking for Ulysses, said Flora. I thought you had kidnapped him. It's true, confessed her mother. I did. Ulysses, sitting on Flora's shoulder, nodded. His whiskers brushed her cheek. I wanted to make things right somehow. I wanted to make things normal, said Flora's mother. Normalcy is an illusion, of course, said William Spicer. There is no normal. Hush up, William, said Tootie. And when I returned and you weren't there, said Flora's mother, she started to cry again. I don't care about normal. I just wanted you back. I needed to find you. And here she is, Mrs. Buckman, said William Spicer in a very gentle voice. Here I am, thought Flora, and my mother loves me. Holy Bagumba. And then she thought, oh no, I'm going to cry. And she did cry. Big fat tears rolled down her face and landed on the horsehair sofa and trembled there for a second before they rolled off. You see, said Dr. Measham. She smiled at Flora. I told you this is how it is with the sofa. Dr. Measham, said William Spicer. What is it that you are holding in your hand? Is that a piece of paper? It's a poem, said Flora's mother. It's Ulysses. It's for Flora. Look at this, said Tootie. They all turned and looked at Tootie. She was standing by the headless Marianne, who was plugged in and shining. It still works. Isn't that something? I can't turn the page. Why don't you read the poem, Phyllis? Said Flora's father. Oh, goody, said Tootie. A poetry reading. It's a squirrel's poem, said Flora's mother, but it's a good one. Ulysses puffed out his chest. Words for Flora, for her mother said. It's the title. I like that title, said William Spicer. He took hold of Flora's hand and squeezed it. Don't squeeze my hand, said Flora. She held on tightly to William Spicer, and she listened as her mother read the poem that Ulysses had written. Chapter 68, The End, or Something. This poem was just the beginning, of course. There would be more. He needed to write about how they always answered the door in Blormesian. He needed to write about the saving of Phyllis Buckman from Mr. Kloss. He needed to write about Mary Ann's broken, still shining self and little fishies. He needed to write a poem about little fishies. Also, he wanted to write about things that hadn't happened yet. For instance, he wanted to write about a poem where William Spicer's mother called and asked for him to come home, and a poem where the other Dr. Measham came and visited this Dr. Measham, and sat beside her and hummed to her and watched her sleep, and maybe there would be a poem about horsehair sofa, one about a vacuum cleaner. He would write and write. He would make wonderful things happen. Some of it would be true. All of it would be true. Most of it would be true. Ulysses looked out the window and saw the sun glowing on the horizon. Soon it would be time to eat. A wonderful thought that occurred to the squirrel. Maybe there would be donuts, giant donuts, for breakfast. The poem said, words for Flora, nothing would be easier without you, because you are everything, all of it. Sprinkles, corks, giant donuts, eggs sunny side up. You are the ever-expanding universe to me. And that is the end of the story. I'm going to put the AR code down below this video so that way you can take the AR test too. It's lots of points, so you want to take the test and just try your best.